Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Kwite, where we talk with African entrepreneurs that are doing interesting and amazing things. Today we have got the beautiful Haatsari from Zimbabwe, and I've just botched her name, and I'm Zimbabwean. That is very bad. And she is based here in Queensland, but servicing clients on the continent. So she's going to tell us a bit about her background, her law firm, and just some of the exciting opportunities that she is engaging in. How she embarked on this beautiful journey of being an entrepreneur, how she's balancing it with being a wife, and all of the other responsibilities that she has on her shoulder. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest today. Hello, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you, Christine, for having me. All right.
Now, can we start by you pronouncing your name absolutely correctly, because I just botched it just now.
All right. So my name is Haatsari. So what it means, or the full name really, is Mwari Haatsari, which means God doesn't choose. God is for everyone. So that is what my name is. So Haatsari.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. And that's the one thing I love about Zimbabwe names, because there's always a story behind them. Because like my name is Rudairo, which means an answer to a prayer, but that gets botched really badly.
One of those.
It's definitely one of those. So do you want to give us a bit of background, like just give us a bit of, the 2-minute version on who you are and, how you came to be in Australia?
Okay. All right. So my background is in law. So I came in Australia in 2001 as an 18-year-old student. Went to University of Canberra, and then I went to the ANU. So I studied law in banking and finance. And then when I finished university, which was in 2006, that's when I got admitted. I started working in Canberra, and then I moved to Mount Isa. I was in Mount Isa for 2 years, and then from Mount Isa, I went to Bundaberg. I was in Bundaberg for 7 years, and then from Bundaberg, I've now moved to Brisbane. So I've worked as a lawyer pretty much from when I completed university until now, from 2007 until 2017. I was in private practice. Then I worked in the public sector, in government in Brisbane for almost 1 year. And then it was during that time that I decided to actually start my own practice. So that is sort of where I'm coming from and where I have.
Excellent. Why did you choose law as a career path? What inspired you to be a lawyer?
Oh, look, to be honest with you, it's actually funny because if I went back in time, I don't think I'll be practicing law. So really, it started off, when I was still at high school, when I completed high school. It was what was there. It was law, banking, and finance at the time. The prestige, the earning potential, the perks that comes with law. That was what was in my head at the time, to be honest. I really didn't think it through.
And in Zimbabwe, that would have been what's in your head, because those were our career options. You either became a CA, a lawyer, if you're more mathematically inclined, engineer or doctor. Those seem to be the only careers.
Yeah, so I didn't think it through. It was what was there. I had enough points after my A levels, and I'm like, okay, what else is there for me to do? Law, prestige, money, do it. And so that's what I did. Studied law, banking and finance. And then what happened is after I completed my degree, I was like, okay, where do I go? Do I want to go do banking and finance, or do I want to practice law? So I was applying for both jobs. Like I was applying for banking and finance jobs, and then I was applying for legal jobs. And it happened that the legal job came first. So I choose the law pathway. So at first it was just a job for me. But then once you get into it, you learn, you grow, you learn, and you're like, okay, this is something that I can actually do. You start making a difference. So predominantly the first few years of my legal experience, it was in the area of family law. And family law, as you know, very difficult. It's very So because of what I was doing and making the difference to so many people's lives, you don't know when you're doing it, but then when you go to courts, you get the results. You bring a child back to their parents, either the mother or the father. The difference and what it does to that child and the parents, it's such a huge thing that you don't realize. So when I started seeing results and I started getting, talking to these people and actually helping them out, making a difference in these people's lives, it changed everything for me. That's when I actually really started to appreciate what I was doing. That's when I was like, oh, I can do this. This is what I want to do. The help, just getting or helping that vulnerable person, getting them out and getting them reconnected and getting them to move on with their lives. So that's that's why I started doing it. That's why I picked law. Banking and finance just went to the back of my mind. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not doing this anymore.
Excellent. So you kind of found your passion along the way. So tell me a bit about the jobs that you worked in initially. So you said you worked in the public sector. Have you worked in a proper legal firm and legal setting? What has been the contrast of your career up to now?
Okay. Yes. So most of my experience is actually in the private sector. So from 2007 to 2017. Or 2016 December, I was actually in the private sector. So I worked mainly in private law firms. So in those firms, I mainly did family law, I did migration law, I did criminal law, I did conveyancing, I did estate law, which is wills and EPA and estate litigation. So that is what I did for 10 plus years. And then in 2017, I wanted to have a few of the public sector. Because I have been in the private sector for such a long time and I wanted to have experience in the public sector. I just sort of wanted to know what government is like. So I moved into the public sector. I was still a lawyer. I was doing advocacy work. So I worked for Blue Cards and I was still working with children in that arena. So it was very interesting for me. So public sector was almost for 1 year and it was just different experience altogether. But very good experience to sort of be on the other side of the table. It's very different being public and private. Private is about billable hours, making the money, and obviously helping the people. Public, on the other hand, is about, for me, what it was protecting protecting children. So you're on the other side of Blue Card, where you're saying, well, where people were wanting to apply for Blue Card, but because they had some criminal history or whatever other issues they had, saying no to them. So I would go defense or I'll go represent the child and say, well, we don't think that you should be issued with a Blue Card because we have these concerns, we've got these issues. So it was very, very interesting. Whereas on the other side of things, I'll be the one defending those people. Saying, so it was very, very different, but very interesting experience.
Okay. So now tell us a bit about your journey now to where you kind of are at, where you're your own, you set up your own legal firm and you're building that up. So how did that come about? How did that dream come about?
All right. So this journey has been coming for a very long time, but of course, life happens. You never know when the right time to start is. So last year in July, my dad passed away. So this is where my journey actually started. It was in July, I went to Zimbabwe after my dad passed away. And then I came back to Australia. But during that period when I was in Zimbabwe, I don't know, Christine, something just clicked inside me. You waste so much time in life saying, I want to do this, I'll do it later, I can't do it now. But life goes on. I thought I would have my dad forever. I mean, I knew.
We all do.
But you just don't see it happening to you. For granted. And for me, it was, oh, he's gone. Where am I? What am I doing it myself? Is this, if something happens to me tomorrow, I'll regret it, because I've always spoken about wanting to start something for myself. I've got the experience, I've got the drive, I want to do it. What's stopping me? You tell yourself, you come up with so many excuses. For me, it was like, oh, I don't have the capital, oh, I don't have the resources, oh, I can't do it, oh, it's going to be too hard. After my dad died, something just happened. I came back to Australia. I said, all right, I'm mourning my dad, but I have to move on too. So for me, it was one of those things that I'm like, while I'm mourning my dad, I'm going to do this to shift my focus. And I started looking into studying my own practice. I did the course, and I just took a leap of faith, Christine. I had a very good job in the government. I told myself, you know what, Haatsari, go for it. My husband said, are you sure this is what you want to do? And I said, you know what, I am sure. It was in October, I even have the date. I went to work that day. I came back home and I spoke to myself. I had a meeting with myself. Put it that way.
I love that. You had a meeting with yourself. I love that.
Indeed. I said to myself, Haatsari, what are you doing with yourself? And I started writing down what I wanted and where I wanted to go in life. I started asking myself the different questions. On that day, Christine, I told myself, this is the right decision for me. I am going to do this. So when I came back from work, I said to him, right, I am quitting my job. Then he looked at me and he said, okay, keep talking. And I said, okay, I've been telling you about, studying HCM. I'm going to go for it. And he said, okay, keep talking. And I said, I'm done. I am going to put in my resignation letter. What do you feel about it? He looked at me and he goes, you know what? I'm not going to be the person to stop your dreams. If that's what you want to do, I'll support you, but I want you to I want you to really think about it. And I say to him, you know what? I have been thinking about it. This is what I want to do. Then he said, okay.
Something that I just woke up and decided. I've gone through a process.
Yeah. So I said to him, that's it. I'm going to do it. So the next day I went to work. I put in my resignation letter and my boss said to me, Haatsari, what are you doing? And I said, I'm finding myself. I'm having meetings with myself regularly, and I want to really, I don't want to have regrets. I don't want to live my life telling myself that I should have, I could have, and then just wake up one day gone. I want to say, at least I tried. I did this. I gave it my all. I've reached my potential. I don't know whether I'll reach my full potential, but I know there's still something in me. So that kept me going. That is what really drove me. I knew there was something in me that I wanted to do. And I still feel it. There's still so much I want to achieve. And this was my first step. This was telling myself that, yes, I can do this. Yes, I will do it. Yes, I may not have the capital. I may not have the resources, but what I do have is the faith. What I do have is the drive. What I do know is that I've got a purpose. I've got something to fulfill. And I'm going to do it. Whether I have money, whether I don't have money, whether I've got resources, I knew people. So I had worked with barristers, I had worked with judges, I had worked with other good lawyers, senior lawyers. So I knew I had that support. And I had my husband, obviously, to support me on other aspects of stuff, things. So I just told myself, start from somewhere, Haatsari, take that leap of faith. You can do it. If it doesn't work, go back to plan B. But for now, I don't have plan B. I only have plan A. Plan A, which is to keep going until I reach my goals. I look at people like Oprah, of course, and other Strive My CEO, of course. Those are some of the people that inspire me. They didn't have a plan B. They just knew what they wanted to do, and they went for it. And
I agree with you. Plan B, I think sometimes holds us back, because there was something that I read. I can't remember which Roman soldiers or whatever. They invaded an island, and basically after the invasion, they burnt the boats. So they had no choice but to win and take that island. So there was no plan B, there was no plan C, there was no nothing. It was, gentlemen, we're gonna win. We're gonna win this. And I think something happens in your mind when you click and you sort of, you put that in place. It really does get to that point where, you say to yourself, okay, no options here. Failure is not an option. You took the failure is not an option out. So how's it going? Tell us a bit about your firm. What area of law do you specialize in?
Okay, so it's very interesting, Christine. Like any new entrepreneurship or any new entrepreneur, it's very, very interesting, I have to say. I've got days when I wake up and say, all right, Haatsari, what are you doing? What's the right thing for you to do? I have those days. And the reality is everyone who tells you and tell you that, no, it's perfect, it's roses, they're lying to you, Christine. You will have those days. And I have those days when I wake up and I sort of look back and say, okay, what am I doing? But then I also have those other days when things are going so well and I'm like, I should have done this a long time ago. When things are just—
what was I doing?
Yeah, so you've got those ups and downs, and it's a way of balancing them. So I have to say that I've been lucky, or I'm grateful because I've had a lot of support from community members, from some of my mentors. They've been referring work to me. I've got friends who are referring work to me. So it seems to be balancing well, Christine, and I can only get better, and it can only improve. So in terms of what I'm doing, I specialize in migration law. So this, different kind of visas for different people. So most of my work at the moment is coming from Africa, as a matter of fact. Zimbabwe, South Africa. We are trying to get to other continents because people are actually not aware. These are people who want to, who are looking for a change, who want to move, from where they are, or who want to just, create better opportunities for themselves. So people are not aware. There's actually different kind of visas that people can actually apply for to come to Australia. So for example, I'll give you example of tradespeople, motor mechanics. If you're a motor mechanic and you're qualified and you're in Africa, you've got the experience, you've got the qualification, you do your English test, you can actually apply for a visa to come to Australia. People don't know that. People will say to me, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I am very sure. It's just that people don't have the knowledge. So I am doing a lot of that work. I'm creating, what I'm doing is giving people the knowledge, really, and saying, look, if you're looking for a change, if you want to create better opportunities for you, if you want to go to Australia, look at them. These are your options. Look into it. Do the application if you can, and see what's out there for you. So my job really is giving people the knowledge and saying to people, you can do this. It's doable. It can be done. And then I'm also a family lawyer. So most of my work in family law is based here in Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do all sort of work in family law, children, property settlement, prenups, which we now call financial agreements. I also do conveyance for those people who want to buy houses and sell houses, and then just estate litigation, wills and EPAs, and criminal law as well. And then in refugee visas. So some of my clientele basis is from West African countries. So I've got a lot of Congolese, Burundian clients, and then Ethiopian, Somalis, Eritrean clients who are applying for refugee visas. So that's sort of where work is at the moment.
Tell me about your first week when you started. So you quit your job, you've resigned, you've found your first, you've come up with your name, the name, tell the people the name of your legal firm.
So it's HCM Legal, which is just my initials, really.
So you come up with HCMM Legal. What does first week look like? How did you get your first client? How did you build from there?
It's actually a very interesting story, Christine. So what happened is when I spoke to my husband about what I was doing, right? I was having a conversation with a friend in Zimbabwe, right? We were having a WhatsApp conversation. So I said to her, look, I've been talking to you about starting my own thing. So I am actually going to do it. Do you know any teachers who want to migrate to Australia? I could possibly help them get some visas. And she goes, oh yeah, I know some people. And I'm like, oh, give them my number and I'll talk to them. So it was just, it was a personal chat. It was just me and my friend just having a conversation. But what she did is that after I had that conversation with her, she took our conversation, she copied and pasted it onto her church WhatsApp group. And then someone from her church WhatsApp group copied and pasted it onto another group. So what ended up happening is that my message went viral. That personal message went viral because I started getting phone calls from people saying to me, oh, okay, so we hear that you're looking for teachers. Can you tell us a bit more about it? And I had like 100 missed calls, WhatsApp messages coming left, right, and center. And I'm thinking, okay, what have you done? So I rang my friend and I said, what have you done? She goes, oh, I just copied it to my church WhatsApp group. And then I'm like, oh, you don't know what you've done. and so what then I ended up doing is I ended up composing. Oh, my sister, then somehow the message got to my sister in the UK. And she sent me a message in the morning and she said to me, Tari, is this you? And I'm like, yeah, my phone is very busy right now. She goes, oh my God, this is so not very professional. Look at your message. Look at the typos. This is not on. What are you doing? And then she goes, I'm going to do a message up for you. And I'm going to fix this for you. And I'm going to send it to a few people, a few friends of mine to make it just look a little bit better. That was like around 1 a.m. when she sent me that message. I said, do whatever. And then you know what? I woke up in the morning, she had sent me this message, she had drafted it. She had actually given people my personal number. And then when I woke up, I had even more messages from people saying to me, okay, tell us a little bit more. What are you doing? And then I'm like, okay, Haatsari, this is happening. What have you done? Deal with it. You've already done it. Word is out there. This is not what you planned, but it happened. So that first week was crazy because I actually had a lot of inquiries. But then again, Christine, it was a blessing in disguise because word went out there. So it was my free thing, I have to say. I mean, but then at the same time, I have to say that I got everything. And yeah, it was crazy, I have to say. I mean, I had people saying to me, oh, you are a Satanist.
You're a what?
You're a Satanist, you're a fraudster, you are this and that. You know,
okay.
people,
The ones we do.
Oh yeah, I had people cursing me. Who are you? What are you trying to do? I'm investigating you. Police is looking at you right now. Oh, I had threats because of that message. I'm telling you, it was crazy. I had people abusing me left, right, and center.
I know it wasn't funny then, but it's, you know, I'm listening, I mean, this is hilarious.
I'm telling you, it happens. And then, I mean, I still have some of the messages, Christine. I mean, I look, those are the messages that keep me going. I look at it and I think, right, I could have crashed because I was like, oh my God, is this worth it at the time? I mean, I had people who were genuine, who actually wanted help. But then I also had people who were there who and people who actually just wanted me to give up. I had everything coming my way. And I mean, I remember showing my husband some of the messages and he goes, is this worth it, Sari? And I said, yes, it is. You know, it's going to come my way.
Through the weeds.
I said, exactly. I had to go through the storm, the fire, the wind, everything. And I went through that. I mean, I would wake up with 1,000+ messages, and some of those messages were, who are you? You're a fraudster. And then, and apparently there is actually rumors at one point that I went to jail, or that I was in jail and that I was caught out, or that things had happened to me. And my friends or some of the people
that interesting to be educated about your life like that.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh, it was very interesting. So people would call me and say, Tari, are you in jail? I'm like, oh well, would I be texting you if I was in jail? Why am I in jail again? Oh, because you're a fraudster, because you're doing ABC. I'm like, all right.
Good to know.
But that was my first week. But having said, Christine, I am grateful because there were people who knew me. There were people who also were genuinely interested. There were people who actually needed the help, who needed the services that we were providing. So we actually got work outfits. And now we've got people actually coming because people are referring other people and it's ongoing. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. So where you're at now, how long have you been operating for?
So since October 2007. So it's almost 6 months.
Fairly new. We'll definitely have to have you back on to talk about, you know, the 1 year, the infamous 1 year mark, and how that's been going. Now, I want to find out a little bit more about, because our program is really about, you know, people that are doing business on the continent, and African people who are African entrepreneurs, business people like yourself. How have you found having clients in Zimbabwe and navigating almost 2 to 3 different, I know they're coming here in terms of migration law, that's your main client base that you're servicing in Africa, is migration law. So how have you found working, you know, across different time zones, servicing the continent from here? How have you found that?
Oh, that's, yeah, very, very challenging, but it's doable. Now I'm a pro at it because you do have the time difference, of course. So most of my appointments actually with clients in Africa, we do them in the afternoon. So, I mean, and some people are very good. They'll say, Haatsari, we wake up at 5 a.m., which is usually 12 p.m. my time. So usually my day starts around 12 p.m. in terms of consultations with people in Africa. So we sort of work around that. I work till late you know, because some people can't do morning appointments. They can only do lunchtime appointments. So I am flexible. I've had to readjust my working timetable to sort of fit with everyone. So that has been one of the biggest challenges, but we are working through that, and it seems to be working at the moment. But not only that, Christine, we then have just the things, how business is done in Africa. You know, have questions, and I understand that people at times get frustrated because they have been, you know, they haven't been dealt with nicely in the past. Had that experience in the past. So people are very skeptical sometimes, and you have to prove yourself. You have to talk to people. You have to listen to them. It was very frustrating for me at first because obviously I'm used to working here in Australia, you know, where everything is done by the book. So you can't afford to mislead people. You can't afford to give people false information. You have to do everything by the book. Then you're talking to someone who's in Africa who have dealt with other people who have either, you know, taken their money or not done the job. So you have people, you know, you're working with people with frustrations, exactly. And to begin with, it was very difficult for me, I guess, to understand when people were asking me all these questions. I was like, what are people doing? You know, this is a business. I'm accountable. I get audited. You know, I report to someone. You know, people were asking me all these questions, but then I had to talk to other people, and people had to share their experiences with me. And that's when I started to have an understanding and say, oh, okay, it's completely 2 different systems altogether. You're dealing with people who deal with things a certain way in Africa. Then you've got, I've dealt with people who I've dealt with people here in Australia, and things are done a bit differently. So I had to sort of try to get on the other sides and listen, and then try to work with that side of things. And then at the same time, I also had to explain to them and make them understand that this is how we do business here. This is how things are done here. And for me, you can report me. You know, the Queensland Law Society.
Accountability framework,
Exactly. So I had to talk to people, and once I started doing that, people started getting more comfortable, and I had to navigate through those issues to sort of just be on the same page with my clients in Africa. But other than that, you know, those people who are determined, they'll work with you. And my motto and my theory is, you know, if someone pays me money, they want my services, I'm going to give them I have to work for them. They are my clients. They are my boss. So I have to give everything that I can to them. So we work together. They talk to me, I talk to them, I listen, they listen, and we just find a way. That's sort of how I've been doing it.
So what advice would you give a young lady who is considering doing what you're doing?
Oh, look, you know what? There's never a right time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't stop and tell yourself that you don't have the resources, you don't have the capital. I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the capital. I had my brain, I had my knowledge, and I had God. So if you want to do it, and if you think you are in that space of mind, and if you think that, you know that you're made for something, go for it. Don't let anybody, and I mean anybody, stop you. If you've got it in your head, and if you want to do something, I tell you, you can do it. I'll tell you another thing, Christine. I listened to Strive Masiwa. He did a talk, I think late last year, or was it early this year? And one of the things that he did talk about was he was talking about charity work. And that's one of the things that I've started doing as part of, it's separate from HCM, but it's sort of where I actually want to go later on.
Yeah.
And
Your
and what Strive said is, people say to me, when do I start my charity? When do I start my my work to help the community? And he said, when you register your company, right? Register your charity. You don't have money to start helping the next person. You don't need a lot of resources to start helping the next person. He challenged me, because for me, I've always wanted to do that work. I was so challenged by Strive, such that after that talk, I actually went and started the process of registering a charity. And what we are doing, it's called JDE Foundation. It's called JDE Foundation. And I'll tell you just a bit about it. So again, it came last year after my dad died. So this is the little story that happened. So after we buried my dad, we were going back to Mutare, which is where we live in Zimbabwe. And me and my sister, we passed through at Auntie's house, and we saw about 4 kids, 2 kids over about 13 and 14 years of age. And I say to them, it was a school week, and I say to them, guys, why aren't you at school? Because everyone else had gone to school. And then they're like, oh, we're just home. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? And then they're like, oh, we're just looking after the cattle. And I'm like, so why aren't you at school again? And says, oh, we don't have money. We don't have school fees. And then I say to them, so how much are the school fees? And then they said 60 US a term. And I'm like, how many terms are there? And they say 3 terms. So I said, okay, so you're not going to school because you don't have 180 US dollars. And they say,
something that some of us blow on a lunch day.
And me and my sister looked at each other, and we started crying. We were like, how can this be? How can this happen? How can we let this happen? So I said to me and my sister, we're like, okay, boys, it was July. So we're like, okay, it's mid-year. Next year, you're going to start going to school. We are going to make sure that you start going to school. So we went back. I came back to Australia. My sister went back to the UK. And we paid fees for these kids. My mom was in Zim, and I said, Mama, these kids need to go to school. We've raised funds. We are going to take these kids to school until they complete their high school. So it was 4 of them, right? And then there was still something in me. I still wanted, there was still something. I felt I could do more. So I said to my mom, oh, can you find out if there's any other kids around around the district that actually need help from the same school. So my mom actually went and did find out, and she came back with more names. So I'm like, oh yeah, I can do it. So again, I sponsored another 2 children. And then I was talking to one of my very good friends, Kudai, and I told her what I was doing. She's here in Australia. And she goes, oh, actually, I don't mind sponsoring 1 child. I can do this. She goes, actually, give me 2. So I said to my mom, give me more names. So she gave me 2 more names. So Kudai then sponsored 2 children. And then I spoke to my other friend, and she goes, oh yeah, we can do this. So what I ended up doing, Christine, I ended up sending a group message to a few of my friends. And guess what? We ended up having 10 more children being sponsored, fees paid for the whole year. And then it keeps going. I was talking to my Christian church, and I sort of told her what I was doing. And she goes, Haatsari, why can't you come to church and, tell people what you're doing? So I went to church, and I did. And guess what? I had more money. So we ended up sponsoring 20 28 children this year.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yes, and it started with Strive saying you don't need money, you don't need much, just start with whatever you've got.
Right.
So 28 children are in school this year because of just using my mouth. That's all I've got. That's what I did.
Brilliant. And you're using it very effectively.
You know, it's one of those things, and it's an ongoing thing that we're doing. So that's when we came up with registering. We're in the process of doing that. So we're not only working with children, working with women as well, women who's gone through trauma, you know, people going through domestic violence, you know, people even here in Australia. It's going to work for women here in Australia. I'm going to work for women in Africa. My mom, for example, she already has a trust in Zimbabwe where she helps vulnerable children and women. So I've been exposed to that sort of work. And in 2010, I remember when when I went to Zimbabwe once, and my mom exposed me to that work. It was so fulfilling, Christine, and I told myself that this is what I want to do. This is what my goal is. I felt so much joy and happiness doing it. It's hard work. I'll tell you this, it's not for everyone. It is not for everyone.
It is hard work. It is a lot of work.
Yes, it is. And but you know, this year having started this, you know, paying school fees for the kids, it brings so much joy in my heart, and the generosity of those around me, even the guys from my church. Christine, I think I went to church one Sunday when my priest asked me to talk to people.
Which church do you go to?
I think I raised. Pardon?
Which church do you go to?
I go to it's called the Holy Spirit, Algesta. It's an Anglican church.
Okay.
Yes, so that service alone, Christine, I think 2 services. I went for the 7 a.m. service and the 9 a.m. service. By just me telling people what I was doing, I think I raised about $1,200.
Oh my gosh.
And if you're paying $180 fees per term for children, imagine what 1,800 is. I mean, 1,200 is. So it worked.
It works. No, brilliant. So we're almost out of time, but where can people find you? Like if people wanted to get in touch with you, know a bit more about your story, where can they find you?
All right. So we do have a website.
What's your website?
It's hcmlegal.com.au. That's the website. We do have a Facebook page. It's HCM Legal. And we do have a number that people can get in touch with us on. It's 040, so +61 40 60 73 512, +61 40 60 73 512. And we do have an email address. The email address info @hcmlegal.com.au. So info @hcmlegal.com.au. So yeah, that's
excellent. So my final question now, what would you tell yourself, your young self? So like your 16-year-old self, when you were doing your O-levels, what would you tell yourself? What would you tell her about where you're at now, the woman you've become now?
What would I tell Haatsari at 16-year-old? Wow. There's a lot I would tell Haatsari. But one thing that I would definitely tell Haatsari is, Haatsari, you can be anything you want to be in life. I would definitely tell Haatsari that, Christine, because you know what? Going through this journey, having faced some of these challenges that first week in my business and ongoing, I can be anybody in my life. Nobody and nothing can hold me back. No one will. I'll tell you this right now, because I have learned through this journey that whatever I put my mind to, whether I've got money, whether I've got people on my side or not, if I have focus and if I have put myself to do it, I'll achieve it. It's hard work. It's not easy. I'll tell you that now. You have to work hard. And as long as you're determined to do it, you will do it. So I would tell Haatsari that, yes, dream Haatsari. One day you'll live to those dreams. Dream now, start dreaming and you live up to those dreams. I will tell myself that. And make
what
sure that you act.
And what does Haatsari, the woman you are now, what do you want your legacy to be? What's the impact that you're wanting to have?
Christine, you could have warned me about this. What do I want my legacy to be? Well, Christine, I'll tell you now. Like I said, my dad just passed away. I thought he was going to live forever. Yeah. I don't want to be gone and not have done something in this world. So what I want to do, especially with children, that's where my passion is. I think that every child deserves an education. I believe that every child needs to have opportunities. So what I want to do, or where I am going with this, is children, their education, and children being given those opportunities. There is so much talent out there. And if I can use my mouth to get to help that next child or those other two children to achieve and get opportunities and get an education, then I'm going to continue using my mouth, because I want every child out there to have a child. What is $60, Christine, a term for school fees? I mean, there were kids from Uchena, their fees, primary school children, their fees are $20 a term. So that's $60 a year. If I can go for lunch, like you said, and spend $180 for lunch with my husband, what's $60 for to educate a child? So that is what I want to do, Christine. I don't know if I'm going to educate every child in this world. I don't know. But do I believe I can? Yes, I actually believe I can do it. It seems crazy.
You will.
Yeah, it's crazy right now as I talk. And I say that to my husband and he laughs sometimes. But you know what? It starts from somewhere. It starts from paying that $20 per term for that child and going to the next child. So if I can do that and die one day knowing that I have educated 100 children or every child in the world, so be it. But I am doing it. I'm going to do it.
Excellent. I think you have an amazing vision. I think your passion comes through. You love what you do. We want to check back in with you a year's time and find out how HC Legal is going and how your foundation is going, and anything we can do to help with your vision and get the word out there about what it is that you want to do. You'll be surprised. There are people who want to do what you want to do and are not sure how to go about it. There are people who children's education, like you and I have been privileged to have had a good education. That's something that sometimes you take for granted and you don't realize that others, have not had that. And as you say, $20 a term, like, you know, after this interview, you'll probably go for lunch, and between yourself and me, I'm sure we'll probably spend more than $200 just today on things that we probably won't remember, too much Easter eggs, too much, whatever it is. But whereas that money diverted differently could change the future of a child. So I think that is an amazing, amazing vision, and I wish you so much luck with it. Thank you so much for making time to be on our program today, and thanks so much for sharing, your vision, for your passion, and just yourself. Really appreciate you, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much, Kristen. Thank you for the opportunity to share my story.
Excellent. Well, we've come to the end of our program today. We'd like to thank Haatsari for joining us from HC Legal. And what's the name of your foundation again?
So it's HCM Legal, and foundation is JDE Foundation.
JDE Foundation. And we wish you all the best, and all of her contact details will be up on our website if anybody wants to get in touch with her. So from everybody here, we'd like to thank you. Thank you, Haatsari, and good night and goodbye.
Thank you very much, Kristen.